Everybody, welcome back. Somebody had asked me about or mentioned the casting of these wheels, and I said that I would try to do a video of my process. I don't know if it's going to be successful or not, but I guess you'll see fail or success. But anyway, this was my first step, which had already been done, so I couldn't put that on the video. I did this before the two failures, but I took piece of styrene here and I made a vent. It's just super glued onto the edge of the wheel, and then up here is another piece of this is actually just a hollow tube. It doesn't need to be hollow because you're going to break it off anyway, but that's going to be the fill tube. So theoretically, when it's in the mold this way and you're pouring through here, it's supposed to fill the wheel, and then your vent can get the air out. And because these have so many holes in them, it's really tricky to cast. And believe me, I'm no expert or anything, and everything I learned from other people. Very little bit did I do on my own. But I watched a guy on YouTube who's an older guy, and it seems like he can make anything. People send him things to make a casting of, and he finds a way to do it. So he had a looked like a timing gear or something off of a overhead cam. It wasn't that, but it's what it looked like. It was decent size, but it had a bunch of holes in it. So I watched his procedure on doing something with holes in it, and that's what I've been trying. So I'm going to try work at the next step here after all the, everything's glued on. The next step is to take a couple pieces of clay down here. And it doesn't take much for the first step here, and I'm only going to film the first step right now. I'll come back to it later because I don't have my silicone yet, but I'm expecting it today. But anyway, you start by making just a little ball and then flatten it out so you have like a little disc, and you gotta cover the holes. Now, I picked the side that does not have the pin. I don't know if you can see that, but there's like a pin there that's an axle, or can be used as an axle. So you got to block off the opposite side. You don't want to push real hard. You don't really want the clay to be pushed through. You just want it to block the holes. Okay, so that's one done. It's really quick. I mean, this part of the operation is quick and easy. I think it's quite enough though. And again, it's the side without the pin. I pushed a little bit farther in than I wanted it. That's the it's filled from behind, and then basically what you do is you pour just a little bit of silicone in here to cover that, and when that's dry you peel off the clay, which I'll go over as I do it again in the next step. And then the first time what I did not do was have mold release to put on the back side, so when I poured the silicone I couldn't get it apart. So I live and learn, so next time should work better. Okay, so that's the first step. I guess while I got the camera going here, I'm going to show you my Fiat body that I'm going to try to make. I'm about ready to glue the box together now. And I may have done overkill here, I'm not really sure. Turn the camera a little bit. But I watched a famous YouTube again, watched a video done by Smooth On where they were making a body. This is pretty much how they clayed it all up. And then I sent a message to Nick Bradshaw from Flashpoint Resins and asked him, because I don't want to I'd hate to pour all the silicone and have it ruined and waste the silicone. So I asked him if it looked alright or if he had any tips, and he mentioned the vents, which the YouTube video I saw had no vents because it was a two-part mold. You know, you push the two halves together, but I figure it doesn't hurt. If I don't need them, that's fine, but if I, you know, there again, I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So I put some vents on here, and what I'm going to do then next, I think I'm pretty satisfied with all my clay work. So I'm going to, you know, assemble the box, hot glue it together like that, and then I'm going to pour the silicone, and then take the box off, dig all the clay out, reassemble the box, and pour the other half of the silicone. So this is going to be a few day project, but I mean, that's about all I can do, all I know to do. If it works, great. If it don't, well, I'll be a not happy camper. So you'll be able to see as it goes along. So I'll be back when I'm ready to pour the little bit of resin in, or a little bit of silicone in the wheels, and I have a lot of molds to make with some other wheels, so I'll show that too. Alright, well, I'll see you when we come back. First, I'm going to dribble a little bit into those wheels. Maybe I should be pouring it rather than... That was good. Yeah. I don't need a whole lot. Just gotta fill the centers. And passing it out here. Looks like we had enough. Okay, well, I'll be back when that's dry. Okay, the next step here, I do have these, I took the clay off, so I still have the silicone on the back side though. And now what I'm doing is taking some Vaseline on a brush, and I'm brushing it into the silicone that's on the other side. Because the idea here is that you don't want the new silicone to stick to this part, because it's going to be a cut mold, so it's going to get split. Well, if I hold it the right way, once it's poured, it's going to get cut down the sides here so you can spread it apart. So this has to come apart, or this has to stick. So you're essentially having the design on both sides of the mold. When the new silicone sticks to this, it'll peel off of the wheel, so you'll end up with both halves. So anyway, I'm gonna brush the Vaseline on for lack of any better mold release. And I already did a couple of these before I got the camera out. The only problem with Vaseline is you get brush strokes in it. But I didn't want to use, I don't have any real mold release, and you can use vegetable oil or mineral oil or cooking spray, but the only thing I have is like vegetable oil, and I'm afraid it would run off. If I wipe it on there and hang this, I'm afraid the vegetable oil would run off. So I want to use the Vaseline just because it's thick enough to stay on. Just now do a little bit of cleanup on the inner lip of the wheel, because really the main part you want is the silicone. You don't want want the new silicone to release from the old silicone. And this is what I failed to do the first time I tried this, is I didn't put anything on here, and that's how I ended up with just a flat side on the other side of the wheel. Okay, and as you can see, what I did is I took, well, maybe you can't see. Let me try and lower this. Okay, I took some clothespins and I took some sticky tack here, and I'm just grabbing the, trying to look back in the camera. So I'm grabbing the mold by the fill tube with the clothespin and then sticking it to my box here. And you don't want the wheel to touch the bottom, but you don't want it too high either. And I'm taking a chance here making these all together in the same box. I mean, it shouldn't matter. Just as long as I leave myself enough room to cut the mold and pour, when you pour the resin in. Okay, so they're essentially hanging. Pick this up and they're essentially hanging into the box, but not touching. I never thought I could look from the bottom. Yeah, so they're not touching the bottom of the box. So the silicone will pour around them. Okay, so I'm going to pause this and get some silicone ready. Okay, I got silicone here. Been having a problem with this brand in that if I go by the directions as far as weight wise, I don't know if it's weight or volume. I mean, they tell you 2% activator, but it doesn't say if it's by weight or by volume. So when I was going by weight, it seemed like it was hardening way too fast. I apologize for my arm being in the way here, but I don't know how quick this is going to harden, so I gotta try to be pretty quick on the pouring. Anyway, I tried cutting back on the activator, and I did that last time, and it seemed to take like really long. I sent a message to the company to try to figure out exactly how you're supposed to do this, because I know I'm putting too much in because it's not supposed to harden before you pour it, and I also, the last batch I ran out of activator and I still had silicone, so that also tells me put too much in. I'm not sure if I mixed enough. I was thinking I'd have extra that I'd throw in that Fiat mold, but I'm not sure if I even have enough. And this is what I did the last time when I didn't have enough, and I used that caulking tube silicone, and I had a really bad reaction because I was too impatient to wait for more of the right stuff. So that's what you get for being impatient, I guess. Might be able to make this work with this amount. I do have some extra leftover scraps, which I've learned you can kind of stuff down in there to take up space. And taking into consideration these clothespins would be in the way. Seems like it's starting to set up already, which kind of tells me that there was probably too much activator in it. And that's not enough. You know, rather than try to stick anything in there, I think I'm just going to make up some more. Okay, I got more here. Should have put gloves on too. I didn't realize I'd have my fingers down in there. This popsicle stick's a little bit too short. And I made up what I think is going to be a little extra, so I'll just pour it in the mold box for the Fiat. It'll give me a start on that anyway. As provided I have as much as I think I have here. I'm going to fill this pretty much to the top. I want to make sure I'm covered. And hopefully this don't catch any air bubbles. Okay. Oh, shit. Here's the Fiat mold box. So I'm just going to start pouring. Sorry, I got to set the camera down. Okay, apologize for that. You couldn't see, but that is all that I got in there so far. And yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to put a fill tube maybe right here because that's the highest point. It's a very small area though to try to fill from. Just that front header panel around the windshield. Be better off putting it in the hood, but that's not the highest point. So it won't hurt to have it in there even if I don't use it. If I just mush it together, it'll still be in there and it won't hurt anything. But like I was going to say about the silicone, like this size jug here or bottle is about, let's see, about $7. So I don't have much left in that. As you can see, it's only down to about here. So I just ordered 2 more bottles. Actually, a little more than $7, I think, because the 2 bottles with the shipping are 890 baht, which is about $25. So half of that would be $12 a bottle. And I'm hoping the 2 more that I have coming and this will be enough to make this Fiat mold. Like I said, I don't know, unless it's a real success and I'm real happy with it, I probably won't do any more because I don't want to keep buying silicone. But if it really works out good, I may try to make a Vega body yet. Alright, well this is going to be part 1 of this wheel video, and as you can see, that's pretty much full. And then we let that dry, and then I'll cut it apart. I'll do that in part 2. Will probably be cutting it apart and the test pour with the cheapy junk resin. I did get my micromark resin under there, but I don't really want to open it because they say any moisture or humidity shortens up the shelf life, and it only has like a 3-minute pot life. So I can't mix a bunch and try to pour a bunch of things. It'll kick too quick. So I'm kind of waiting until I test these wheels and then maybe I'll make those wheels. I'll just mix a small batch and make a few things. But anyway, this will be part 1 of this video. Part 2 will be the unmolding and the pouring with the cheapy resin and unmolding that and see if it works. So stick around, come back. Well, it'll be a week or so probably till I get the next one up, but thanks for watching. Wish me luck.